this is Wandering Dancer at Stone Glade Farm. Thank you for joining me again. I am also going to video record this and post it on my YouTube account because I want to show everybody, if you can go over to YouTube or if you feel like it, what's going on here is the work that I've been doing on our floodplain. This is in the western corner of our property, and it is about a 1/4 acre, I think, that is what we plan to use as a pasture in the future. So because this is bordering our future neighbors, which is a big muddy mess right now, we have been working to reestablish, or just plain out establish, a hedge down here. So the plants that we've got on this area is the native cane that resembles bamboo, and we have Rose of Sharon that Mama Dory had planted. We've got native cedar trees, other trees, hackberry, probably elm, plane tree, and we've got crepe myrtle, as well as privet, and privet is going to be the backbone of the hedge. So a couple weeks ago, no, about a month ago, I started working down here to clear it because this was terribly overgrown. It was full of dead trees, honeysuckle, all kinds of different vines, tangling everything together. I had help pulling all of that stuff apart. It took about a month of Saturdays to get all that cleaned up and sorted out and into a fire pit, which is right there. Now that's a stone ring that Mama Dory had built. There's a kitty cat. Who's got a kitty? Oh, distraction. Hi, kitty. Who's Miss Meow? Kitty says meow. She's the most beautiful cat I've ever known. Kitty, 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 kitty. Who's got a kitty? Okay, back to the topic. You can also see on the video, I found different lengths of wood, various places around the property. Some of them were trees apparently cut down, and others were landscape timbers that had been sort of removed and dumped. Oh, she's a good baby. Who's a good baby? I'm just gonna rub a little kitty face right now. Yeah, she's so good. But these timbers, I finally decided to put them to use. They're going to demarcate the edge of the boundary of the hedge, the hedge edge, so that it's easier for Blue Bear to mow. I'm trying to walk carefully so that I don't shake the camera too much. But this was a big mess, and now it is a nice, neat hedge, future hedge. I've been cutting the privet down to about 3 feet high so that it will branch out. Obviously, if you're looking at the video, you can see it is no branches. But you want to cut it, I think, 1/4 of the height you want it to eventually be. So I'd like for it to be about 12 to 15 feet. So I've cut the trunks down to 3 feet. This is probably going to be our main pasture land down here. Like I said, it's about 1/4 of an acre. It might be larger. The flat area, at least, is 1/4 of an acre. And we're going to fence it in on the inside. Now, of course, there is a fence line running around the outside of the property, but we're going to be sharing that boundary with strangers. So we don't want our animals going up to the fence there. We don't know who's going to be there. There's going to be a road and a dog park and some upwards of 50 houses next door. So it's the potential to be kind of dangerous. Also, we want to be able to access the exterior of the pasture from all sides and be able to patrol it once we get a dog that we can train to watch over the animals and help take care of them. It's so beautiful down here. That's one of our biggest trees right there. It's a sycamore. I've also heard them called plane trees, but I might be mistaken about the identity. So walking further on, some of these privet were the size of small trees themselves. So this was about 2.5 or 3 inches across there. And it will grow back even though it's cracked. Privet is very hard to kill. Down here we've got the Rose of Sharon that I've trimmed back some of the dead branches and some of the branches that reached out across the pathway. I might still need to clear a few of them. I think some of them have leaned out since I've cut everything back. That could be my imagination. And then we have those beautiful crepe myrtle. Crepe myrtle is such a beautiful tree. It's actually from Korea and southern China. We're very similar temperate zone here and very similar climate. So it really thrives here, and the bark even is just beautiful. It's almost as smooth as silk, and it has all the beautiful different colorations on it. And there's Overall Creek. That's our creek right there. I don't know if you can hear it on the podcast. This is the shallow part we're near the corner of our property. For a little further down, it forms a really nice pool that I understand was a big part of the entertainment in this area about 100 years ago. People would bring their kids down to the swimming hole. So I've swum across it a few times myself. There's Gaia checking out. So this is the pathway I've been clearing. You can see what I've cleared out of it right there. Piles of brush. I go in, cut the brush. I've been using a hedge trimmer on the small. I use the clippers on the bigger, more well-grown brush, and then go back with a rake, and then go across with a hedge trimmer across the ground to try to get it cleared out so that this will be safe to mow. Of course, we've got lots of pathways around the property, most of which had been established by Mama Dory years ago, and I had rediscovered. But these are paths I'm recreating. And I think that Mama Dory probably intended this as a pathway, because some of these, there's the brush, it's pretty clear that this is a line right here of shrubs that they had planted at just about the right distance from the old fence. You can see where it's buckled there, where somebody used to climb over it. I think one of the old renters used to do that. So it's going to be a little bit more shaded to walk this way in summer. Very important when you live in the American Southeast like we do. We're in Tennessee. Beautiful winter landscape here. Now these two stones over here, I understand, were part of the hillside many years ago, and then they were building a new structure and blasted those guys out, and instead of just breaking them up, they brought them down here to be part of the landscape. They're a lot of fun to climb on, and I'm hoping that in the future, when we've got animals down here, they will also enjoy just climbing all over those. I just imagine baby goats like jumping up and down and running around them. Here is it's almost like a present when these sorts of things happen. Yeah, I'm talking about building an enclosure, and I found a big roll of fencing down here. That was fun. So this is what it looked like right here. The brush, the privet grows very thick, and I just come in and cut it, clear it. You have to get right down to the base. This is not privet, this is the honeysuckle shrub. This is the privet shrub with a honeysuckle vine on it. The vines I don't mind. Look at that, middle of winter, honeysuckle still growing. The vine is. So still got some work. There's periwinkle, pretty little purple flowers. Still got some more work to do to clear this out, and further on until we get to the corner of this floodplain area. I think that when beavers existed still around here and were in charge of this creek, this must have been closer to level with the creek. But now that erosion has taken it down several notches, we're right now I think about 4 feet higher than the creek level. This is our access down to the ford. It's our access, it's also the deer's access. This is another reason that we need to build an interior fenced-in structure, because our border fence ends here, and then the rest of this area is open to the creek, or will be open once I clear out all of that. So I'm going to continue the walkway along here, and oh gosh, there's a little mallard couple out there on the creek. They're so cute. We've seen mallards this year we had not seen in the years past. There's some of the brush that I've cleared in years past. Speaking of years past, big mountain of brush. We've been trying to get rid of some of it, but honestly, if we just enclose that, any goats that we get will demolish it within a short period of time. Here's some of our young cedar trees. One of them is not going to make it, but 3 of them will. I like the cedar. A lot of people consider it a trash tree. I don't consider any tree trash. All of them are valuable to me. And that one is particularly hardy. And it's evergreen. And it has a nice scent. The wood is very useful. And it's very long lasting. If you build fence posts out of cedar, that you can count on that fence post standing for many decades, maybe even hundreds of years. Here's the end of our floodplain area. You can see up there is our deck over the creek, which is a fantastic place to hang out. And ahead of us there are my 3 pawpaw trees. They're about knee-high right now. We've got them in tomato cages so they don't get mowed over. And then there's our target for archery practice. So that's the saga of the floodplain. We're going to be building a fenced-in structure, and then inside that fence we will be practicing rotational grazing, where you section off small areas so that the animals that you've got grazing in there are thorough in their when they eat, instead of just picking out what they like best, which I'm told is a problem if you just turn them loose in a big enclosure. And then also that that area that you've let them loose in has a chance to recover while you move them to another small location, and that's a good way to make the best use of your grazing property. So here's Overall Creek, lovely as usual. Well, thank you for joining us at Stone Glade Farm and Overall Creek. I hope that in the last time since we've had a podcast, I hope that you have accomplished something that's made you feel good about yourself. And I look forward to our next get together. Be well.